with 2 boxes remaining, which means, of course, that if Mike were to put up anything more than 20, that would force Steve Vadney into a double strike situation. If you need more than 40 pins in 2 boxes, you've got to have a double strike somewhere.
Oh,
and, oh my.
That is half off the lane.
Well, I'll tell you, you take that one, and then remember the one that Paul St. Pierre had earlier when it looked like he had a spare on the 10-pin. This thing could be completely different.
You heard it from the crowd, I think. A hammer keeps it interesting, meaning throwing a strike on this spare. We definitely need a big fill and another mark. Of course, he'd like the strike.
Looks pretty good.
2 solid 9-pin drops. Yeah.
Well, a big fill here in the 10th by Mike would mean that Steve Vadney would at least have to pin well in order to preserve the win. But it all comes down really to this fill. This will go a long way toward determining it.
Yeah, we really need 8 or better. No.
Lost it to the right, a 5 fill, a 142. That means that a 109 will do it for Vadney and Ashline.
They're already at 114 clips, so.
Right.
15 pins. That's all Steve Vadney needs. It's going to make it interesting after.
How many times have we seen this happen?
I know.
Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre, by the way, wound up with a 367. We'll see if that's good enough. Well, Steve's going to have some work to do in the 10th.
Uh-oh.
That's 8. He's got half of them. He needs 8 more for the win. No, 7 more, rather. He needed 15, so he needs 7 more. That may do it right there. It does. That's good enough for the win.
Interesting match, though, right down to the final box.
We've had some great ones here in this doubles tournament so far. And Steve will add the mark. Move that final score up there a little bit more. Be up around 380 somewhere, depending on this fill. Whoa! 381 to be exact. 20 in the 10th. 381 as Joe Ashline and Steve Vadney knock off 2-time champions Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre. Ashline and Vadney will advance to the semifinals next week. And we'll tell you about it and talk to the bowlers in a minute. And back on Stars and Strikes doubles after 2 wins, Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre unable to make it 3 in a row, facing obviously a very tough team as all of them are at this point in the tournament, and just couldn't get the momentum started really in this one.
Well, it was like real close. Then Joe made that crazy shot there that went, and then Steve got up to 9 double 4. You know, we were down 30. You know, it was like, what happened? You know,
it did happen very quickly. It was a very tight match until that double strike and that cluster of marks right at the end of the second.
No, I didn't help my partner too much this week anyway. So.
Well, we appreciate you both coming by. You have your checks, 4th place prize money, and we appreciate it, and we'll hope to see you both next year.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre. And now let's bring up Joe Ashline and Steve Vadney and 2 other folks. We're going to see Derek and Cody Ashline as well. Congratulations, Dad. Steve, with the big win, it was a question of getting the right drops and the right marks at the right time. Your partner had the strike ball working there for you.
I had nothing. You can talk to him about bowling because this was terrible.
Well, Steve, you guys, you did have the strike ball working, and that double strike in the second game obviously gave you the lead, and then in the third game you were able to hold on.
Yeah, right. If we could have stayed on 32, especially me there, I think I went 4 strikes there on 32, nothing on, 31, nothing on 32 there. But we'll see what happens next week.
Well, you got the guys you had to face in that one-string roll-off next week, Mike Morrill and Jack Quinn, so we'll see the 2 of you and also Cody and Derek next week. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, Joe Ashline and Steve Vadney with the win. as they roll a 381 to knock off Mike Morgan and Paul St. Pierre's 367. Let's take a look at the ladder, and we'll catch you up to date for semifinal week, which will be next Sunday here on the Winds at 12 noon. Mike Morgan will still be around. Can't seem to get rid of him, as he'll be going for his third straight win in the singles tournament of champions. And then here on the doubles tournament of champions at 1 next week, it'll be Joe Ashline and Steve Vadney against Mike Morrill and Jack Quinn.
Oh, it should be another good one. This one back and forth today. Just a matter of those final few frames for Steve Vadney in the second game meant the difference.
I think Derek has started bowling. That means it's time for us to get out of here.
I think the show's over.
All right, we'll see you next Sunday at 12 noon here on the Winds for 2 full hours on semifinal week of the Tournament of Champions. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, Doug Brown, so long from Park Place Lanes.
This is Kimberly Carson. Here's what you'll find coming up next on the Sunday double feature here on Movie Watch. First up, if you've never seen High Noon, now's your chance. Gary Cooper and Grace Kelly star in this popular and acclaimed Western. Then at 4, Betty Davis and Lillian Gish are sisters living with age and memories on the rocky Maine coast. Let 2 great screen actresses show you how it's done. Also starring Vincent Price, The Whales of August is at 4. Join me now for the Movie Watch Sunday double feature, because it's coming up next right here on WNDS.